All my life Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I got the power. All my life Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk the power fit me.
It's me. It's your man H Rob coming at you live and direct. Thank you for tuning in. This is Build and Destroy, brought to you by Intervention Media. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend to tune in. Tonight, it's gonna be another interesting evening. I have some information to deliver with you. As you see, the title of the program is called A Soliloquy of Chaos. It is a soliloquy of chaos. What is a soliloquy? A soliloquy is usually using theatrical terms. And what that means is a speech or an expressing of the mind. And it's usually done in a theater, and it's a person done by themselves. That's why I call it a soliloquy of chaos, because I'm about myself and I'm going to express some things to you. It's what's going on in my mind. There's a lot of chaos in the world. Therefore, I'm going to express it through my program. We're looking at we're in dire straits. You know, a lot of people every 4 years you hear, hey man, this is the election of a lifetime. And as I've mentioned in the past, every election is an election of a lifetime when you're dealing with people who are categorized as minorities. We are not the minority. We are the global majority. To be perfectly honest with you, there are more people that look like you and I, depending upon who you are, but people who look like me on the planet didn't look like anybody else on the planet. So how is it that we are a minority and we even categorize ourselves as minorities, which lets you know the mind screwing that we are experiencing every day in the United States of America. We are a powerful people, and if we were the minority, why is it that every time there's an election around, we talk about the black vote? Because if we can secure X amount of the black vote, we can win this election. When it comes to the Republican Party, they're saying about 12 to 13%, maybe even 15 to 18%. I'm sorry, 12 to 13% used to be the standard up until the turn of the century. You're talking about 15 to 20% now. But this is why we are so pivotal. If we are the minority, if we are basically an afterthought of the election process, why is it that people pay so much attention to our community? Think about that. While you're thinking about that, I want you to understand that we are about to be subjected to the tyranny. We could potentially be subjected to the tyranny of a person who is the face of people who are in the background trying to dominate the world and make this a dictatorship instead of a republic. I know your entire life you've been told this is a democracy, but if you really look up the definition of democracy, you would definitely want this to be a republic. A republic is a government of the people, by the people. Look no further than a lot of people's favorite movie, Gladiator. The king said he wanted to return Rome to a republic, and this is what you are dealing with. A republic is again a government for the people, run by the people. And if the people don't understand the concept, then that is a moot point. You are wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels, and no need to spin your wheels any further, because we are suffering due to this horrific situation that we're faced with. You are about to face a government that is attacking you. You are about to face a bunch of things that are detriment to you. And if you don't prepare for it, you will suffer the consequences. And I'm just being honest. It may sound as if I'm being, trying to incite you and scare you. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm trying to inform you of what's on the horizon. A little late, I was watching one of my favorite sports shows, and this is how important it is. This is a room full of people who are not that do not look like us, and he's telling you what's going on in the government and what is in store for people that look like us. This is why I want you to pay attention, because and even if you pay no more attention than 2 or 3 minutes that it takes to hear a portion of what is called Project 2025, this is basically the thesis statement of what former President Donald Trump has in store for you. This is what I want you to understand. This is what you're facing. This is what you're dealing with. And this is what we have to contend with, because we are under attack. Our community is under attack by people who are basically hate mongers. They are people with issues. They're small-minded people with small capabilities of thinking, and they don't have the ability to have an empathetic bone. They don't have an empathetic bone in their body when it comes to us and the problems that we face. As a matter of fact, they are manufacturing those problems to induce chaos, and again, put you in a situation to whereas it is not advantageous to you to do anything but just keep your head in the sand and move forward. It is a common practice today of people of a certain age to not pay attention to the news and not pay attention to the politics because I'm really not into those things because see, it's depressing. Well, if you be put on a death camp and you be put in a worse situation than your great grandparents, I wonder how depressing that would be. And I did say your great grandparents, not your grandparents. And I'm not even going to go dependent on your age. Your great grandparents, no matter how old you are, your great grandparents, if you are of my community, were in a horrific situation. And those days are returning. I'm just going to be frank with you. Those days are returning because we're dealing with wicked and evil individuals who are doing what they want to do, when they want to do it, and how they want to do it because they've induced again a mental laziness that isn't beneficial to anything or anyone besides their plans. And that's just it. You have as if I want to quote the Bible, you have mothers fighting daughters, sons fighting fathers, siblings fighting siblings, and that's what we have in the streets. Am I as saying, hey man, this is Revelations, we're living in the end times? No, I'm not gonna say that because I'm not God and I'm not even gonna make those predictions. But what I am gonna basically hope and pray that you will do is pay attention to the sickness and the madness that's going on around you. The sickness and the madness that's going on around you. And it can be curtailed, but it takes effort from you and everybody around you. So you won't be subjected to this. You know, when the end of the world or the end of the world as we know it comes, it will come and you won't see and you won't be able to do anything about it. But you don't have to be subjected to tyranny. You don't have to be subjected to racism, bigotry, and discrimination. You don't have to be subjected to those things. Those things are you are under those things will be subjected to you because you allowed it. You will allow it. And it's a lot of people I know, oh man, I don't participate in politics. Well, I just got a few questions. The last time a lot of our people didn't participate in politics, it was around 2016. In 2016, when Donald J. Trump was elected president, he put people in play. He put judges in play. He put Supreme Court justices in play. And what they did was continue to strip you of the rights that were provided for you by people like the great Malcolm X, the great Dr. King, Whitney Young, so forth and so on. Fannie Lou Hamer, it's people who have been beat to sleep, beat to death, shot, killed, and things of that nature, just so you will have your inalienable rights that were given to you by God without people opposing those rights. No one has the right to give you human rights, but there are people in these United States of America who are opposed to you being treated as a human being, as a black or black man or black woman, just a black human being. And these are the things that they are attempting to strip from you. If you didn't realize it, if you are born in Generation X, that is a generation between, I think, 65 and 70, 65, 68, or up into 82. If you were born during that period, you're the first generation to be born with all the rights, and from my community to be born with all the rights that are in the Constitution. Think about that. If you were born between 1968, and 1982, you are the first generation of black people that were born into a world in which you had all the rights that the contract that everybody in this country are supposed to have. You had them. And guess what? You no longer have them. This is what we're dealing with. This is what you are being faced with. Oh man, a lot of people don't want to participate in politics. A lot of people think it's a waste of time. You don't have no control. Well, seeing how at one point in your lifetime you had control and now you have less control, and the more you don't pay attention, the less control you will have. You'll see why it's important. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play this video. It's at the top of the show. I was going to wait to the middle of the show. And I'm going to play this video right now. Again, this is a sports show. This is a sports show with white men and a Hispanic man and one black man on the program. Totally. He's in the background. He speaks about one tenth of the time. And look at what they're talking about. And a lot of these things won't even affect heterosexual, straight white men. But this is what they're talking about. Look at this, and I'll be back shortly. Look at how important this is. I'm gonna watch it with you. This is the Dan Levitar show. They are talking about Project 25. This is coming directly from the game plan of the former President Donald J. Trump. Actually, the people who control him. Listen closely.
Organized by the Heritage Foundation. It's a right-wing think tank. He claims to have no idea who's behind it, even though 140 or more of his former administration officials, like a lot of whom are sort of organized crime family felon criminals, helped to craft it. But the distance that came from Trump came only after the president of the Heritage Foundation said earlier this month, quote, "We're in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be," end quote. Before that, in 2022, when Trump was talking about the Heritage Foundation, he said, quote, "They're going to lay the groundwork and detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming," end quote. I tell you all of this because here are 22 of the agenda items from a 922-page playbook that represents a better plan for how to dismantle government and systems in this country. Now that after the buffoonery of 2016, they actually know how to rig everything in the system. 22 of the agenda items. End climate protections. Increase Arctic drilling. Eliminate free weather forecasts. Eliminate public unions. Eliminate the Department of Education. End free lunch at school. Teach Christian beliefs in schools. Ban books about slavery. Ban African American and gender studies. Ban porn. Ban the pill used in half of abortions. Defund the Department of Homeland Security and replace it with a horseback-mounted border patrol. Begin mass deportation of immigrants and incarcerate them in, quote, camps. Defund the FBI and put the Justice Department under presidential control. Defund NPR and PBS. Raise prescription drug prices. Raise the retirement age. Raise taxes for the working class. Give tax breaks to corporations and the working class. Ban transgender people from the military and consider reinstituting the draft. Promote capital punishment. Use the military to break up protests. Wait.
If you heard those things, if you listen to some of those things, a lot of those things are directed right at us. The draft. Draft is one of the last things he said. Most that's when they did the most damage to our community. In their most recent draft there was the Vietnam War. The Vietnam conflict took a big chunk out of the black community. A lot of people use statistics and say, well, it was only this many thousand people died and blah, 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 and it couldn't affect the black community as much as you said. Well, you know what? When you take a big chunk of men out of a small community, that will affect them. And then when some of those men return, some of those men die, other those men return addicted to drugs. Okay, a drug addiction is a choice. Okay, if you want to be simple-minded enough to believe that, okay, drug addiction is a choice. But how would you feel at 18 years old and you're seeing nothing but death, dismay, chaos, and destruction? A lot of people can't take watching a violent movie. How about living in one? And that's what happened with a lot of these black men and women who were in combat in the Vietnam War, seeing people guts everywhere, seeing people bludgeoning, seeing people blood and their bodies deteriorate, just melted by Agent Orange and other acid-like weaponry put upon people who you and I both know did not deserve this. This was something that was going on with the government, and you were sent as an 18 to 22-year-old man to go murder people. I have a personal friend who literally told me it took him 3 years to be able to wake up and someone touch him while he was asleep. He said the first day he came home from the Vietnam War, someone touched him to wake up and say it was breakfast on the table. He woke up and broke his brother's arm because he was used to being under attack. He used to literally roll out of the bed and ready for combat. And he suffers to this day. He says he is taking psychotic medications to this day. So you don't think that played a major role in the community that is at that point as small as ours and as ours and as concentrated as ours, not to mention the fact that that same community is under attack by the United States federal government. Understand what you're dealing with. You're talking about why is it that the working age needs to go up? Why is it that working class people need to pay more? That is called a trickle down theory. They're gonna tax breaks for the rich, and then you make the poor pay more. So you take more money out of the pocket of the poor and working, and you put more money in the rich, and they tell you the money would trickle down. Well, even if they were to hold on to that theory, the money would trickle down, and then the government would take the money, which would put you in a worse situation that you're in now. This is what you're dealing with. These are the people who you're up against. They've already taken away women's, taken away total autonomy of women's body. They've already done this. This is what is already taking place. They've already made it so we can make it as difficult as possible to for you to vote. So you can't take us out of power, and then you have a set group of white nationalists that support this. And guess what? Some of those people suffer from those same ailments that me and you do. But guess what? They're voting against their own. They're voting against their own principles, and they're conflicting with their own life. And they're happy to do it. And we don't have a problem as citizens. And that's what happens when you stick your head in the sand. When you stick your head in the sand and don't pay attention to the things that are going on around you, people do what they want to do. Just imagine a lot of people like this woman who's just been promoted into the position to win the top position in the world. A lot of people bringing up stuff that, oh, well, she did this back in the day. She did that back in the day. Well, this is the question I have. Are you going to support the person who supports that agenda? That's just 25 items off the agenda. And if anybody who's just coming in, go to the beginning of the show, you'll see basically a brief synopsis of Project 2025, and you'll see what you're up against. Do you vote for the person who you don't like some of their actions, or you don't like some of their personal choice? I literally heard someone on Instagram and TikTok mention who she used to date, and that's one of the reasons they don't know if they're going to vote for her. I'm not going to say who this person looked like, but look, this person did not look like the person who would make a ton of sound decisions in their life. I'll leave it there. But this is what we're talking about. Are you voting for a babysitter of your child? Are you voting for a teacher in your school? Are you voting for the pastor of your church? No, you're not. You're voting for someone to dance and get in a circle of wolves and snakes. So if this person is a potential wolf and a snake, but they have the things that are in your interest or can keep the wicked people at bay, that's all you're really doing in an election. You're keeping people at bay and host to gain two or three things without losing anything. That's all it is. And this is why I'm talking about this today. We've seen this in history. We've seen this 165 AD. The Roman Empire went through this thing, went through a plague just like this, and it wreaked havoc throughout Rome. And Julius Caesar and the Roman hierarchy, what they did was instill hope, instill confidence, and instill the ability that people could get through this. And we've gotten through a plague. Now we're getting through. Now what we're doing is replaying a chaotic situation that we've all experienced 100 years ago in this country, and we experiencing it. We're experiencing it now. These are the things that we will always have to deal with, and we must consistently stand up and say we need to fight against this. Otherwise, salute to my homie RC. Good to see you, brother. This is what we'll always fight against. But see, what we have to do as a community is stop funding our own destruction. When you watch CNN, the CEO of CNN has openly and willingly said he's basically turned CNN into Fox Networks, Fox News Junior. They are more erroneous than Fox News. Period. Why are we even supporting these entities? The beautiful thing about the internet is this thing right here that we all walk around with. It's either a tool or a tool. And it's up to you to decide if it's a tool or a tool. You can find out who's against you by just simply Googling them. Google the CEO and the CFO of all your favorite corporations. And if they are supporters of the Republican Party and they're supporters of people like Donald J. Trump and other people who are anti-you, avert your eyes from their program. And is it the people who own CNN's fault? Yes, it is. Because if you hire an abject racist or a bigot or a separatist, well, I don't really have a problem with some separatists, but that's neither here nor there. If you hired a person who is a atypical bigot, atypical racist, atypical hate monger, and you eat just because he's good at the job, not a problem. I'm not going to tell you how to run your corporation. But what I am going to do is advise my people to avert their eyes from anything you do. Me personally, I have never tapped in to CNN on any level. That's what I do. I'm not going to do it. There are certain movies, there are certain television programs, there are certain anything that is anti-me or anti-good people. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to keep my eyes there. See, when you have people like you have situations like on CNN, I mean ESPN get let go of Jamel Hill. I'm not a gigantic fan of Jamel Hill. She has said some questionable things in the past, and then I looked at her sideways, and I'm just keeping her. I'm gonna be honest with you. I look at her sideways all the time. But guess what? They got rid of Jamel Hill because she exposed former President Donald J. Trump as the suspected racist that a lot of us perceive him to be. She mentioned it. She called him out. She held his feet to the fire. And ESPN subsequently negotiated a buyout, which is a professional way of saying we getting rid of you because you're bringing too much political attention to a sports network. People tune in for sports, and that's it. Don't be bringing your politics to the table. This is Disney and blah, 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 yada, yada. So they got rid of her. And then her good friend, Michael Smith, subsequently acquiesced and left with her, and they negotiated a buyout. So now we have a whole bunch of white men sitting there straight-laced, not voicing their opinions because we want this and we want that. And all of a sudden, Dana White shows up with his product, mixed martial art or MMA or whatever it is, fight. Look like an alley fight in a cage. That's what it looked like. A couple of dudes standing around, their underwear, punching each other in the face. A lot of people love it. I've never paid attention to it. It has no interest in me, but hey, do what you want to do. He steps up last week, and sings Donald Trump's praises. And he goes on like a 2 or 3 minute soliloquy of how great Donald Trump is. Now, again, you like who you like and you deal with who you deal with. But one thing about me is this. I'm not a person who participates in hate under no circumstance. I refuse to participate in hate. No matter if I don't want you hating women, children, elderly, black, white, orange, gray, whatever continent of origin you come from, and no matter what you look like, if you hating, I'm not dealing with you, because this is the thing about hate. If you hate the gay people, if you hate the Jewish people, if you hate the Latino people, guess what? I'm in line behind the gay people. I'm behind the Jewish people. I'm behind the Asian people. I'm behind the Latino people. And you're going to hate me next. So if you are trying to participate in the destruction of a community and the hate of a community, and I support that, I'm supporting getting kicked in my face next. And that's what people don't realize. Oh, they trying to take our jobs. I don't like the gay people. I don't like this people. I don't like this group. I don't like the Jews are controlling this. And if you're participating in that kind of conversation, guess what? If it's this saying that my grandfather used to say, if a dog will bring a bone, he'll take a bone. And what that means is if you stand around with a group of people and talk about this group, when I leave that group, the group that's left gonna talk about me. Or if you're trying to destroy that group, you're going to try to destroy me next. And that's what we participate in. When we allow other people to participate in the destruction of a group, when that group is gone, it's a pecking order. It's a pecking order. So if you don't like this week, you don't like the Jews, then next week you don't like if you don't like because the gays and the Latinos at the bottom of the list, then it's the Jews, then it's the blacks, and then it's the, so forth and so on. At some point, your name is coming up on that pecking order, and then they're going to destroy you. And then you're going to be looking around for people to help you. I'm not looking for any allies. What I'm telling you to do is avert your eyes from financing things that don't benefit you. That's just it. The reason things work so well in this country at one point is because people stayed in their lane. And it's just another saying, mind the business that pays you. You know what business pays me? People in my community. They ensure, because mostly people in my community support my program. And mostly people in my community support my social media pages and things of that nature. Therefore, I worry about us. It's not that I don't care about other people, because in order to care about, in order to love yourself, is to love other people. You hate people because you don't really like yourself. If you're taking time out your day, as busy as the average person's day is, and as little rest as the average human being gets, if you're taking time out your day to hate somebody, that means something is going haywire in your life. Period. And the reason our community at one point, like I said a few weeks ago, the reason you hardly ever hear about the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, or the 20s and 30s and 40s, and the early 50s in this country is because at that point we were building a one hell of a nation. We were supporting our own stores. We got our suits made by people who look like us. We got our groceries by people who look like us. We entered our homes and things were repaired by people who look like us. And at that point, people at the top realized, well, we're missing out on money, so we will integrate this thing. And other communities, coast to coast, border to border, they do the same. My pastor of my church, his late father told me the story. One of the few interactions I had with him, seemed like a wonderful man, but man, he just met. Instantly, we had started having conversations about history. I always like to talk to my elders, and he told me this story about when he was a little, because we are from the same neighborhood, didn't even know it, from the same street. He said he used to go to this Jewish woman's house and go to the grocery store for her in his neighborhood. And she would actually pay him an extra nickel to walk an extra block to go to the Jewish store. Now, on the outside, it sounds like, oh man, that's a little bit, she should have just went. No, she shouldn't have. If she had the ability to pay him an extra anything to go an extra block and continue to keep that money in her community, what she was practicing is what we should practice, and that's called group economics. That's group economics. How do you become a successful community? By group economics. If you shop for the grocery store, the black grocery store, and then the black grocery store hire the black people, and the black people buy black homes, and then the black homes and the black community buy the black grocery store, and then go to the black dry cleaners and the black tailor shop and the black gas station. Guess what will happen? And then we'll have money circulating, and then we can create a black bank, and then we can have a black bank to lend black people money to buy more black objects in the black community, and that money continues to circulate. And then you don't have to deal with the chases, and then you don't have to deal with the PNCs and the Bank of America and the chemical banks of the world, because you'll have your own funds circulating through your community doing the best for you. A lot of people hear that and go, that's a pipe dream. But guess what? At one point, that was the case. Do you understand? It was a period in time in this country where we were all but self-sufficient. Of course, banks, what you don't realize, smaller banks borrow money from bigger banks, and bigger banks borrow money from bigger banks, and it's a cyclical situation. But if you have 60 million people, which we have in this country at this point, 55, 60 million people in this country consistently put money in and out of their own communities, and then you will be self-sufficient, and you won't have to worry about politicians doing these things, because at that point you can pay someone to be a politician, and then when you pay that person to be a politician, they'll get their political salary and they'll get your salary, because they will be a person who is part of the system helping you get to where you want to be. They'll be doing their job, right? And as they do their job, they'll be fighting for your equality. We're not looking to get in front of anybody. We're just looking to be equal to anybody. Shout out to Poison. It's always good to see you. Thank you for the support. Hit that like, hit that share, y'all. Hit that like, hit that share. Keep hitting that like, hitting that share. And as I was saying, as you do these things, your community grows stronger and stronger. Me personally, I don't care about who's going to be the president of the United States of America. I really don't. I want to know who's going to be the state, the state representative, the U.S. representative. I want to know who's going to be the state senator and the U.S. senator. I want to know who's going to be the governor and all the mayors in my state. And I think you need to worry about that as well. See, everybody's worried if our sister, Vice President Kamala Harris, is going to be the president. Well, that's a good job for her to have. That's an awesome job for her to have. But if you're not going to engage with your city council, school council, the state, the people, the legislators in your state, it don't make a difference who the president is. This is the problem. we step away from politics. We claim we don't know politics. I don't really participate in politics. And what happens is this: politics is local, county, state, government, period, federal, period. That's how it works. The president of the United States cannot control what's going on in your state, period. The president of the United States does not hand out stimulus checks. The Senate and the House of Representatives does that, and he signs off on it. They tell him what to do, and he is the face of the company. Just, it is a corporation. The CEO is just the dude at the top making the final decision. He can make a decision, he can veto it. But you know what? If enough of us make noise on a regular basis, then the president's job is do what we say, not as we hope for. And we don't participate on that level. Vice President Harris should be the next president of the United States of America. If not, you and I will be in a world of trouble. I'm just telling you this. You saw, I just gave you a video, and this dude just ran off a list of things on Project 2025. Why is it that you want to raise the cost of medicine? Why is it that you want to raise the cost of medicine? That is asinine. And that thing right there, like this person said, they are not ready for a woman to be a woman of color to lead this country. Who cares what they're ready for? Are you ready to be subjected to tyranny and oppression and unbelievable acts of violence? Anytime you have a president who's attempting to get rid of the criminal justice system, you have a dude who last month, we talk about a few months ago, went to the state just north of me, Wisconsin, and literally said, I want to grant police officers total immunity. That means this woman who was just shot in the state of Illinois by a sheriff, shot in the face for going to get a hot pot of water off the stove, in which they told her to get, and they shot this woman in the face, and he's incarcerated right now, according to the dude who's running against President Harris, Vice President Harris. He don't even want that person to go to jail. Ahmaud Arbery, the people who killed him last February, they will get out of jail because he will pardon those people. He will pardon those people. Well, actually, he couldn't pardon because those are state charges. He can pardon them, but the people who are in line with him, some of those people will get out of jail. You don't think Derek Chauvin will potentially get out of jail? Yes, he will. He'll figure out a way to grant those dudes pardons. And why? Because he's a white nationalist, in my opinion. And those are the white nationalist agendas. We keep worrying about what people who are opposed to us would like instead of what we would like. Let's focus on what we want and what we need to get. Not worry about what they want, because guess what? They wasn't ready for us to be emancipated. They wasn't ready for us. They wasn't ready for Crispus Attucks. They wasn't ready for people and the other Black women and men in Revolutionary War to help them and help them win that war. They made promises. Even King George of England said, hey, Black people, Indians, if y'all help us win this war, we'll set y'all free. This is the King of England said this. And they said, no, if you help us, we'll set you free. Wrong. Here we go. Years later, just about 100 years later, we have a revolution. We had a civil war. They weren't ready to emancipate us. All that. The whole thing was fault because we have a surplus of these people doing our bidding and making us rich. And all we have to do is treat them as if they are animals. They weren't ready to let us free. Lincoln said, the only way we're going to win this is if we let them free. He literally said before Congress, I would prefer not to let these people free. Will they ever be equal to us? No. Will they ever have an opportunity to vote? No. Will a white man ever have to deal with a Black man eye to eye? No. These are quotes. And guess what? He had to emancipate us to win that war. And bam, here we are. Next thing you know, I'm going to talk about it a little later. Reconstruction. This is the Reconstruction period. And I want you to understand this. I want you to understand this, and this is important. In the event that we galvanize as a country and elect this woman, Vice President Kamala Harris, as the next president of the United States of America, look at what happened the last time a person of color sat in that seat. The last time a person of color sat in that seat, people like the Proud Boys, Appreciate the support too, Thomas. I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying we have to remove that type of thinking. We must remove that type of thinking. We don't need to care about what they want. We need to care about what we want. Because in the event that these people take over, you are going to catch all kinds of hell. Thank you for the support. Help you hit that like button, hit that share, tell a friend to tune in. Thank you. But these are the things that I want us to pay attention to. They never wanted anybody that looked like us to have any monicum of power in these United States of America. They have done everything they can systematically from sea to shining sea to destroy people who look like you and me. And we can no longer sit back and say, well, what they don't want. GD their opinions. We don't want any of that nonsense. I'm not going to participate in any of that foolishness, because if we don't stand up right now and never sit down, that's the thing. We must stand up right now and never relax. See, we got President Obama in office. Whew, we did that. Nope. We got President Obama in office. We should have been pushing. You know what we should have did? This is one of the things that we should have said. In 1965 Civil Rights Act should have been codified into law. The 1964 Voters' Right should have been codified into law. At that point, a lot of this stuff wouldn't even be going on. At that point, then we do. A lot of people don't agree with abortion, but you know what? The great way to combat abortion is to not get one. If you don't get one, then it ain't your concern. How is it that we have people living under bridges? We have people literally living in the cold. How many of these people who are anti-abortion donated money to Texas so that grid could come back up? So all those people who live in the abject suffering, they were just suffering with 100-degree temperatures and an inability to get air conditioning, get clean water, things like that. How many of y'all donated money? And I'm not talking about the people supporting me. I'm talking about the people in the world who swear they care about abortions. How much money are you donating to your homeless shelter? How many times are you going to volunteer for things? How many people, since a lot of y'all are God-fearing, good old Christians, how many of y'all going down to homeless shelters, dropping off food and money so the people who are without homes will have a more comfortable existence? How many of y'all taking soap to the homeless shelter? How many of y'all taking washing powder homeless shelters? How many, like when you go buy a new washer and dryer, how many of y'all taking those things down to the homeless shelter? Say, hey man, I know it's not a lot, but I just want to do my job. Y'all not doing that because y'all focus on somebody else's business. Because if you really want to help, we could eradicate homelessness in this country. And look, Vice President Harris, what I understand, she raised $1 million in 40-something minutes. That same $1 million could go to help people who living out in corners, who living under bridges, who are living in filth, who are suffering. So all you people who claim y'all love the next man and want to help the next man and or woman, well, won't you do something about the homeless situation? How is it that it's a child that is going to be hungry tonight? Somebody going to be hungry tonight, but y'all love God and y'all love the country and y'all love people, and we got to fight this abortion. It's people who live through abortion. They didn't get an abortion, and they're out here living and they struggling. When you going to help them? So again, people, we can no longer sit back. The reason I bring it up, because we can no longer sit back and wait. In the event that we get our wish and this lady takes over and the Heritage Foundation, they are not going to go around. They've been in play. This is a right-wing, white nationalist Christian think tank that has been in existence since 1972. They got 60% of their plan kicked off with former President Ronald Wilson Reagan in 1980. How did that work out for our people? Next thing you know, it was the R&B era, and I do not mean music. It was the Reagan and Bush run for the next 12 years. How did that work out for you? And then you had everybody's favorite president, Bill Clinton. And, we put it on his wife. You know what's funny? We put it on his wife. Hillary Clinton was part of the regime that kicked off that crime bill. And Joe Biden was part of the regime that kicked off that crime bill. And y'all still love Bill Clinton. Help me understand. Because he was the president at that time. He was the president at that time. Maxine Waters was in play. John Lewis was in play. A lot of people were in play, and y'all don't get mad at them, but y'all get mad at the people who they push out in front of you and highlight the worst part of their lives. I got a cousin who wrote on Facebook, I'm voting for Trump because he get things done. Let me see. 3 failed marriages, paying off. He got an alleged sexual assault thing. He allegedly essayed a 14-year-old girl, filed bankruptcy 7 times. Oh, everybody and their uncle in business world money. Been sued several times for not paying people. He's been sued for discriminating against Black people. He don't even want their money so they can live in this place. He has openly said Black people too lazy to count his money, and he gets things done. He is all for this Project 2025 thing, and that's who you want to support. That's why all I did was ask him, so what is it that he getting done? And I'm still waiting on an answer, and he's not going to answer because he's listening to the enemy of his community talk about what the enemy of his community has done. Listen, come on, man. We start regurgitating points about dude that he labeled Sleepy Joe, and the world called him Sleepy Joe. He's 80-year-old man. Of course he's tired. He been lying and scheming and stealing out the government. That's what the government does, right? So he's been doing this for hundreds of years. He's been doing this since 68. Since 1968. Last time an active president said, I don't want no more. And if you think history don't repeat itself, history it has a rhyme and a reason. Last time a sitting president who had done a lot of stuff that benefit people of color in this country was Lyndon Baines Johnson. Wasn't the greatest person in the world either for our people. But guess what? The last time when he stepped down, you know what happened? We got this dude by the name of Richard Milhouse Nixon. That didn't bode so well for Black people either, because all of a sudden the war on drugs started. Now, how did that work for you? The war on drugs. Next thing you know, crack cocaine is in our community. Next thing you know, semi-automatic weapons are in our community. Automatic weapons are in our community. Next thing you know, we have another big chunk of people taken out of our community via drug addiction, via incarceration, and being murdered. How did that work? It didn't. That's because we keep taking time out of our lives. We continue to take time out of our lives to do this. What do? We go, when you are behind enemy lines, you do not have the ability to exhale. You don't have the time to exhale, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, haters and bitter friends. We don't have time for this. We are entering a period that we should consider the same thing that happened after the revolution, or the Civil War. Reconstruction. It was an 8-year period in which Black people went from being illegal to read to coming to a 88% reading percentage. 88%. So it was about 4 or 5% of us had the ability to read. We moved up to 88% of us knew how to read. And that's how the whole public school situation started. That's how the whole public school situation started, because they didn't want your Black behind to know how to read. And then we learn how to read. Everybody else had to learn how to read. Why is reading so important? Why is academics so important? Because it's easy to control somebody's mind when they're ignorant. If they don't know. I mean, we need to get rid of Joe Biden, and then the whole world's like, we need to get rid of Joe Biden. We need to get rid of Joe Biden. We need to get rid of Joe Biden. If you have ever had a conversation with somebody who said we need to get rid of Joe Biden, all you have to do is say, and replace him with who? There's a dude on Twitter today. I respect him a lot. I'm not even gonna say his name because I respect him too much, and I don't even want to throw any shade his way. But he was speaking against Vice President Harris. He wasn't really gonna say anything bad. He was just saying, I don't think she qualified. Okay. Well, who is? See, one of the issues that we have in this community is we consistently tell people what to do with no plan in play. We have no plan in place for an escape route. If you don't want Biden, then who? If you don't want Harris, then who? Because the alternative is white nationalism. And white nationalism will do you no favor, Black or brown person. And that's just the bottom line. They will do you no favor. I'm offering you potentially solutions to the problems that we're about to face. What's the problem? What are some of the solutions? Group economics. Group economics, never relaxing. Group economics, never relaxing and focus and moving forward. See, you support people like myself. And then what you need to also do, you need to support people like Roland Martin, Karen Hunter, the people that I think at the end of the show. And then what I want you to do is get involved in communal activities. How is it that they can try to remove, you heard them, they're going to remove Black history from the curriculum of schools. Why you want to remove Black history from school? Because if people don't know where they come from, they'll never know who they are. If they don't know who they are, they'll continue to walk around mindless. If you talk around mindless, I control you. If I control you, I destroy you. And that's just it. I know there's going to be people who listen to my show, and there's people who are very close to me who assume that I just don't like white people. And they're 100% wrong. I don't like racists. I don't like hate mongers. I don't like people who are trying to destroy people who look like me. Because I have children, and one day I might have grandchildren. If I have grandchildren, I might have great-grandchildren. Have you ever considered the curse of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, which the Lord put us, because the forefathers would keep the Lord's commandments and stuff? Okay, that curse, the curse of Deuteronomy, I'm not familiar with that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak, hopefully, it's going to be out of ignorance, and I'm going to give you my opinion with that curse. Have you ever had, if we're gonna think about Deuteronomy in the Word of God, I have no problem with that. Thank you for introducing that. Thank you for engaging. You know what? What's your name again? Thomas Schultz. Hey, Thomas, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you engaging, because a lot of times I'm just sitting there having a dissertation instead of conversation. So the conversation is warranted, and I appreciate it. Now, if we're gonna listen to that, then is it any way possible? Like when you look at a lot of stories in the Word of God, in the book, in the Bible, you hear about things, and what it is in a lot of these instances, God says, do this. It's a straight line. God said, go follow this straight line. Let's look at Exodus. Moses grabbed these people. Let's go this way. And God said, do it this way. And God said, Moses, tell the people to do it this way. And the people say, you know what? We're gonna do it for that. We're gonna follow Moses. And then what happens is, after a while, not following Moses, they go left. And then they suffer. And then Moses said, hey man, come back over here. And they said, okay, we're gonna do it your way. And they go left again. And then they suffer. So the reason I'm bringing this up when we're looking at these things is this. Is it the curse will be enacted because we fail to do what God wants us to do, and that's live the best life we can live and follow the rules that we follow, love on each other, help each other, and do what we're supposed to do? Does the curse come after we violate the rules, or is the curse enacted because we fail to follow the rules? We always look, the book is telling us the consequences of not following the Word of God, or not following the rules. Maybe the rules, maybe a clown like myself. Maybe I'm just set out here to tell you the rules, and this is what we can do. And if we don't do what we're supposed to do, we veer left or we veer right. We don't stay on that straight path. Then the consequences are basically the curse that you spoke on. Again, I'm not a Bible scholar, and I never read that scripture, so I will thank you for giving it to me, and I'm gonna look into it, and hopefully you'll come back next week and you can say, hey, what do you think now, Rap? And then I'll tell you what I think. But maybe that's it. Could that be it, Thomas? And I'm hoping that you're gonna respond to this. But could that be it? Maybe we always look at what didn't happen and see, and then blah blah blah, and then God hit him in the head. Yeah, but how about this? We suffer because Adam didn't follow the rules. Nobody talks about the fact that, oh man, Eve ate the apple. Nobody talks about what Adam let her do it. First of all, Adam, if you're on your job, again, we talk about the end results when we're in the situation because Eve ate the apple, right? And I don't know that's a metaphoric situation. But we talk about the fact that if Adam was on his duties, he'd have been watching Eve, and he wouldn't allow his wife to be seduced by the serpent. And if you catch the serpent, then you tell your wife, look. Then you educate your wife, look, we don't need to be dealing with that. We need to stay away from that because we ain't in paradise. We got a perfect situation. Then he watches his wife walk over to this metaphorical tree and touch the tree that she's not supposed to be touching. And then guess what? Then she would have been punished. But did he do what he was supposed to do? No, he didn't. He did what he wanted to do. And what he wanted to do is join his wife in sin. And when he joined his wife in sin, what happened? When he joined his wife in sin, he suffered the consequences. We always look at the consequences. We never look at what led up to the consequences. Hopefully that's the answer to your question. And I'm glad you actually challenged me. Please. I have no issue with anybody challenging me because I don't have the answers. I have what I perceive as the answers. I have what I think should work. But guess what? I don't know nothing. I only know my opinion. I look at situations, I analyze situations, and I give the people who support me, who I really thank all y'all, people on Twitter, people who are on Isaac Hayes fan base, people on Twitch, and people who go to my website every day. 1,500 people a month go to that. Now, here go my man Thomas again. We as a nation have always been stiff-necked people. If we turn to get back, my man, let's see, that's what I'm talking about. We as a nation have always been a stiff-necked people. If we will turn back, it will get us get better for us. See, that's what I'm talking about, Thomas. This is a conversation, and that's what I'm saying. We don't want to look. All we have to do, bro, is do what we're supposed to do, and that's what I'm assuming stiff-necked means. We don't want to do this. Look, we need to stay focused on the task at hand. The task at hand is me helping you. You helping me with the response, with you putting stuff in the chat room, putting something on my mind. You made me look into Deuteronomy 28. Thank you. And guess what? I'm going to be a better person because I'm going to read Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read it tonight. I'm going to check it out tonight, bro. And that's what time it is. And that's what time it is universally. If we work hand in hand with each other, we'll get into a better place. Otherwise, we are screwed. The consequences are the curse. The consequences are living in the midst of sin. The consequences are being subjected to tyranny. The consequences are being subjected to discrimination. Those are the consequences. And you know what? I am going to do this. I'm going to pull this back up at the end of the show. Right now, I'm pulling it up now as I speak to you guys because I want you guys to see what I played at the beginning of the show. The people came in late. I want y'all to see what I played at the end of the show because this is insane, man. This is utterly insane. When you got a dude who's in play and he's telling you, this is what I'm going to do. And we are not paying attention to this because, hey, man, it's depressing. Ain't nothing more oppressive than oppression. There's nothing more depressing than just insane oppression, disrespect, and disregard for humanity. Nothing more oppression than that. You cannot think of anything in the history of the world that's worse than what our grandparents and great-grandparents went through. Do you really want to live in a world in which you can't even walk down the street without averting your eyes to somebody who thinks they're superior to you? Do you really want to live in that world? No, you don't. No, you do not. You see, all other towns, our forefathers are built under these waters and great towns, but they were destroyed because of that curse. Hey, no, what I would say is they were destroyed because we relaxed. See, it's one thing, Thomas, to build a town. Let's say me and you, we build Thomas and Bryanville. Thomas and Bryanville, right? Let's say me and you, we build a house next door to each other, but we know we're in enemy territory. And then what we do is we sit in our backyards that are connected to each other. You sit in your backyard, I sit in my backyard, I salute. Hey, what's up, Thomas? Man, we did a great job. Knowing that we're in the midst of enemies, we're relaxing and those enemies come in. What we do is trust people who don't mean any good by us. What those people did was assume just because they built those towns that people wouldn't come for them. Now that we know that people will be coming for us when we build things, so we build up another situation. We continue to build, and what we do is we put ourselves in a defense mode. When we put ourselves in defense mode, and at that point, nobody can come and bother us. What we did was assume, like in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, or in Wilmington, North Carolina, or in Spotsburg, South Carolina, or in Peoria, Illinois, or in Allentown, Alabama, or in between Forney and Dallas in Texas. These places I found out about things in Dallas in a buddy's boat, looking at the GPS and seeing streets. Like, what's that? This used to be a black town under here. These are the things these are the things that we didn't prepare, because we said, okay, we have our own, and now we relax. No, we got our own. And then what we do is we create a force, just like they did. There's no 911. That's why the Second Amendment, we followed their blueprint. Why was the Second Amendment? The right to bear arms. Why? Because they wanted to protect their land from the people who they perceived as the blacks and the natives who lived there. They took that stuff from, and they said, you got the right to have a gun, because we'll create a militia and kill all of them if they come try to take their stuff back. And that's the mentality we need to have. This is why they want to do away with history. This is why they want to do away with those things, because when you read and learn why you have the right to bear arms, then you understand the mentality of needing to bear arms. We've actually gotten to a situation, Thomas, to whereas we don't even think we should have guns. Oh, I'm scared of guns. You scared of living? You're scared of living because you're going to need a gun, because you're going to have people coming at you with guns. So you know what? Just like we see on YouTube, and we go, they crazy, because they got some 8-year-old dismantling and putting together files, laying on the table. And they going, and we going, that's crazy. It ain't crazy. It's not crazy. Then that's why we need to read books like We Shoot Back. That's why you need to read books like that nonviolent stuff to get you killed. This quote that was said by that man, the author's father said it to the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, that's why we need to pay attention. This is why they're doing away with these things. This is just why much killing and disobedience in our community. And we just march without teaching our children the law of the Lord. Hey, man, guess what? And guess what? The law of the Lord is to protect yourself. Self-preservation is the first law of nature, brother. God don't want you suffering. So he says, we're going to talk about God. God don't want you suffering. That's why you think you got King David. Hey, y'all going to run up on us? Y'all going to run up on us with these giants? We got our own giant. We got God on our side. No weapon formed against you. You will conquer. Will prosper. That means you won't be conquered. Guess what? If you are saying that you're going to put your faith in God, God wants you defending yourself too. God ain't told you to lay down and get busted in the head. And see, and maybe I'm misquoting this, but I do really believe there was a point when Jesus told the disciples, hey, sell your silver and get swords. Because it ain't about dying, it's about living, man. God don't want you living in abject poverty. How could we protect our own and build in our own army? You don't think you can build your own army, brother? Hey, Thomas, you don't think if me and you live next door to your brother, my brother, your uncle, your cousin, so forth and so on, you don't think we can protect our communities? See, what you do is, again, to quote the great Thurgood Marshall, sometimes you have to step outside the law and make the law catch up with you. There's no such thing as murder when somebody comes in your house and runs towards you. If you read Rosa Parks' autobiography, one of the first things she says is her grandfather, she grew up in a house with her grandfather. And when the Klan got riled up, her grandfather sat in his living room in a chair with a Winchester in his lap and 245s on his lap. And he said, if they rile up and come in here, I'm gonna kill as many of them as I can. See, when you're dealing with bullies, Thomas, bullies don't want to fight. They want to intimidate. They want to mentally intimidate you. They want to mentally and spiritually defeat you before, and then the fight is not even a fight. They just run up on you. When you believe that you'll lose, you'll lose. But guess what, Thomas? If you and I live next door to each other, you live next door, we live next door to a whole city block of men. Won't nobody come on that block. Won't nobody sell no dope on that block. Won't no criminals come on that block. None of no Klansmen come on that block. Won't nobody come on that block. If you don't believe me, I know people who are on the wrong side of the law. I remember giving him a ride for a week straight to this one block. I said, hey man, why you never have me drop you off on that block? You know what his response was? This dude is a registered gang chief. You know what he told me back then? He said, man, they call the police on that block. I ain't going over there. So that lets you know, if you set things up, the people who we see as the worst individuals in our community, they will stand down. And guess what, Thomas? It used to be a time in our community that you ain't mess with no children, you ain't mess with no ladies, because the people who mess with children and ladies, they were afraid of the consequences, my good brother. What we have to do, Thomas, is stop walking past men and walking up to men and extending our hands, creating a community. Just because you live near somebody, you live in a neighborhood. You don't live in a community. If you don't know all the men on your block, if you can't address all the young women in your block, if you can't address all the young men in your block, we are part of the problem. And guess what, Thomas? That's why I can say those things, because I can't do those things. I don't know any young people in my community. I don't know anybody in the community I live in. And I'm part of the problem too. So I'm not preaching to you and telling you what you need to do, and I'm not doing it. So Thomas, maybe we need to start, maybe you need to come to the show more. Maybe you need to engage with me more. Maybe you need to reach out to be my friend on Facebook. Maybe we need to create something so we can start doing these things. Maybe your brother need to meet my brother. Maybe my brother need to meet your cousin. And we need to create a national network of Black men so we can encourage each other instead of believing in the propaganda nonsense that is being fed to us. You know, they kill the people. Look, they kill people who stood up in the past and said they were going to do these things. Well, guess what? At some point, we're going to have to stand up, and then that might be the end all be all. But I know one thing we can do is this, Thomas. We can stand up and fight. And there's more than one way to fight. You can put people in place. You can get the Thomases and the Bryans, and one of us run for office, and then we get people behind us. And then Thomas and Brian will legally make it so the rest of the community, you know, you on the city council, I'm on a school board, and we make sure our kids are properly educated and the laws don't affect us. And then we have somebody run for mayor who have our interests. And then guess what? Now we holding the fools at bay. And then we get people who are judges. So when people run into our cribs, you know, and then run into our cribs, we won't go to jail for protecting ourselves. All we have to do is create a wall, Thomas. Create a wall, man. It's a Trojan wall. I mean, the Spartan wall. And the Trojans brought people in it. Okay. But do you remember the Black groups in Philadelphia? Yeah, well, Mike Africa now. But again, they did, again, why don't we, instead of realizing what went wrong? Yeah, I remember the group in Philadelphia, and they all lived in a house, and they all built up their own situation, and then they didn't follow the law to the letter. If you want to watch it, Mike Africa, that's the dude who you're talking about. He just was released from penitentiary in the state of Pennsylvania, and he's Mike Africa Jr. His dad and his mom just got released. They still together to this day, 40 years later. Now, they didn't follow the letter of the law to do what they had to do. But what we can do is look at what they did and build on top of it. You can build your own stores. And again, you build your own stores, and you'll build your own community, right? And then when you build your own community, guess what? When there's a group of people with like minds in that community, they're forced to have representatives. That's what the Constitution says. Now, and then you bring somebody, a certain amount of people to represent those people. And then you create laws to protect those people. At the same time, you create gun clubs. Like the great Malcolm X said, you create a gun club. And then who's going to run up on people? See, it's easy to run up on a group of people who you say, for one, they don't believe they can do something. And two, they're not going to defend themselves because they're afraid of guns. And three, they believe in us. So what we do is educate each other, have conversations like this, and we don't have to worry about what somebody else thinks. We don't have to do that, Thomas. See, what we do is buy into the defeat. We need to start buying into the victory. I don't care, you know, and again, don't take this the wrong way. I don't care what happened to Mike Africa and his family. I care, but I don't care how they were defeated. Thomas, my father died in the streets of Chicago. He's a member of the Black Panther Party self-defense. My father died April 4th, 1974, months before I was born. And he got hit in his head in 1968 in a rally defending our rights. And guess what? Once he got hit in his head, next thing you know, 4 months, 8 months later, he had an aneurysm and died. 8 months later, he had an aneurysm and died. But guess what? Here I am doing the same thing he was doing 54 years later. What I'm saying is this. The reason I brought that up is this. We could talk about what did happen and what they did to us, or we could learn from what they did and build on what they did and expand on our plans. I don't want to talk about the defeats. I want to talk about the fact that Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals created Black Panther Party self-defense. Fred Hampton, Bobby Sutton, and Bunchy Carter, they all got killed. But guess what? Here we are today doing greater things, and greater things every day. There are always going to be obstacles. There are always going to be things in our way. And we can always look at those things, or we can look at those things as stepping stones, see what they didn't do, fill in the holes and the dams that they didn't fill, and galvanize our communities coast to coast, to border, and get into it, put ourselves in a better situation. We both come from the village, and we had order. Well, we need to reestablish that order, man. And back in our day, we had order. We need to reestablish our. You see, again, we can no longer live at what used to be. Let's work on what we're going to do tomorrow. See, we keep saying what we don't have and what we could have. And let's work on what we should have and what we will have. I don't want to focus on, look, we're going to use our history to propel us into a better situation. A good book is a situation, as I think it's Paul speaking to the Corinthians. He said, I give you these allegories. An allegory is a story in which you learn a lesson. I think it's Paul. But it's Corinthians. I know it's Corinthians. Maybe Paul. I don't know. Don't make a difference who it is, but I give you these allegories. And what is an allegory? It's a story that you learn a lesson with. So these instances in which you referenced, Brother Thomas, we can learn from those instances. We can look at them, see, we can go, hey, see, they did this between 60, 68, and 72, the Black Panther Party self-defense. Now, what did they do wrong? What did they do right? We're going to chew up the meat and we're going to spit out the bones. The things that we think they did incorrectly, we're going to make sure we don't repeat those mistakes, and the things that they did correct, creating breakfast programs, creating after-school programs, the protection they provided for our communities. And then we encourage people to become police officers. We encourage our people to become firemen. We encourage our people to become city council members. We encourage our members to become city board members. So none of our history is removed from the school. So our schools and our communities can be funded. So we can be in situations so we can fund the rebuilding of schools. Like my man, Big Illinois, he lives in a Hispanic neighborhood. They built 3 schools in the midst of them. They built 3 schools in his community. I know it personally because I've seen all 3 schools, one right behind him on the other side of Marquette Park, one on 55th, and another one is on Western. That's 3 schools that they built. Meanwhile, they closed 3 schools on the west side of Chicago in the neighborhood I currently live in. Brown, I don't even know this other school. They should be a block away from my house and another. So these are the things we need to do. Again, have there been failures? Yeah, but guess what? There have been far more successes in our communities than failures. And again, Thomas, I welcome this discourse, brother. I really do. Man, you just don't understand how much I wanted people to just do exactly what you did. Black history wasn't on my school when I grew up. I had to learn on my own. And my parents, through my parents and my siblings. Yeah, just a thought. Exactly. We don't need these academic educational programs to do these things. We need to be doing it on our own. My sister Phyllis in Nat Harbor taught me how to read before I even got to elementary school. I was a dude who could read in preschool because my sister had a pen pal. She got sick of me telling her, read that again, read that again. So she systematically showed me how to read. By the time I was 5 years old, I could read. So if my sister, who was not an educator, could teach me, my sister, who's only 5 years older than me at the time, she's 13 years old, she could teach me how to read. Guess what? We can teach each other how to read. We can teach each other history. We can teach each other science. We can have conversations like me and you have, Brother Thomas, and then we can get things done. We can no longer look at our failures unless we are looking at our failures to fill in the holes in the dike. That's it. That's it, and that's all. Well, we do have the funding because guess what? We made Derrick Rose a millionaire in Chicago. We made Mark Aguirre a millionaire in Chicago. We made Antoine Walker a millionaire in Chicago. We made, oh man, we ain't took none of those jump shots. Listen to Kanye if you want to, but guess what? The NBA gave those dudes millions of dollars and giving those dudes money to this very day until they die. And you know, once that, well, Derrick Rose won't be getting no retirement money for a few years. But Antoine Walker getting retirement money. Isaiah Thomas getting retirement money. Mark White getting retirement money. Ken Snake Norman getting retirement money. Nick Anderson getting retirement money. Anthony Davis and active players, they're getting big money. Why are they getting big money? Because we keep watching. And if we keep watching, that means y'all owe us. We supported y'all through elementary school, high school, college, and so forth and so on. We need to start telling these dudes, give back. We need to be teaching our young men and women, give back. Because just imagine, I live on the west side of Chicago, one of the more impoverished communities in Chicago. We still suffer the ills of the 1968 Martin Luther King riots. You still see remnants of that. Just imagine if Mark, Patrick Beverly, Isaiah, Eddie Johnson, and a few others. Mark, Eddie, and Hersey Hawkins, that's three guys that come from my high school. 3 NBA 10+ year NBA veterans that come from my high school. Just imagine if they'd have put their money together, if they'd have had the academic or the financial acumen to put their money together and purchase all that land, rebuild that, and then put it into low income housing. Just imagine if they'd had the wherewithal to do that. Just imagine if they would have opened up grocery stores. If Mark, Eddie, Isaiah, Hersey, Nick, Antoine, and other pros on the south side of Chicago would have created a grocery store chain. Look at how we would have developed this situation. But they don't have the academic acumen, they don't have the business acumen, and nobody probably ever suggested it to them. So we must have these conversations, must present these things to people, and then we get these things done. Remember those old school encyclopedias? We had a couple of them with information from those books as a kid. I had 3 sets in my house. So, man, thank you, RC. Back to my brother Thomas. Me and my wife have 7 beautiful children. 3 of them are the top 10 in the valedictorian taught all my children. But exactly, man. You are doing what you're supposed to do. Now, I know it's a lot, Thomas. I know what I'm about to say is a lot. But now we need to start teaching our nieces, nephews, and cousins. We need to be teaching our neighbors' children, so forth and so on. If we guess what? If we part of a church, maybe what we need to do, Thomas, is start stepping outside, going to the church and bringing the kids in the church and saying, I'm going to teach y'all Black history. And we need to do that. What we need to do is put ourselves in a situation, because guess what? While you helping your grandchildren and your children, and your nieces, your nephews, and there's people around them that may be poison in them. So we need the potential bad apples. We need to nurture those apples back into good. Is it going to be always bad people in this world? Of course it is. That's the way it's called balance. But it's far more Thomases, RCs, and Brians than it is people who are erroneous and have nothing but deception and dismay in their minds. Man, Thomas, congratulations on your grandson. Congratulations on your children. And thank you for you come on the show all the time, man. I said I was going to start addressing people as they come in. I'd be so focused on talking sometimes I don't acknowledge y'all, but everybody's in the chat room, everybody's who's watching in the background. Thank y'all. Everybody who's going to watch in the future, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning. Whatever time it is you watch, thank you for tuning in. I want to thank y'all for tuning in, man. And thank you, Thomas, man. I tell people all the time, Thomas, engage, man, because I don't want to just be sitting here running my mouth, man. I would rather engage. You know what, man? I would rather have this forum right here than just be running my mouth for 30 minutes, because running my mouth for 30 minutes make it seem like I think I know everything, and that's just not the case. That's not the case. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I have what I perceive as some of the answers. And if you can add something, and you can offer some good news like your grandson and your children, valedictorians, top of the class, that's right, man. We need that, man. Hey, it's, the funny thing is, Thomas, a couple hundred people reach out to me on a weekly basis in regards to my program. And I bet there's a couple hundred valedictorians in those mixes. And there's a couple hundred people who are salutatorians. And there's a couple of people who are awesome auto mechanics and electricians and heating and air conditioning and hell, bus drivers and whatever, man. We need to celebrate our children. We need to celebrate our people. We need to celebrate our accomplishments. And that's really what I'm trying to do. That's why it's called Build and Destroy. We are going to build up our community and destroy the lies and the propaganda that surround our communities. That is the purpose of the program. I really appreciate, man, Thomas, thank you, man. Man, you and two other people, man, two good friends of mine. My man Deacon Dale called me a couple of days ago, and she said, man, thank you for what you do. You're really doing a great job. And Denise reached out to me the other day, and she thanked me as well. And thank you, Thomas, man. I thank you, man. I think you cared enough to engage with me. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody who watched the show, and I want to thank the people who give me inspiration. That's like Willie D, Tariq, Nasheed, Nori, Talia Kweli, Sway Calloway, Roland Martin, Al Shot, the Heather B, super dope brother Clay Kane, my personal favorite, the Reed Daniel favorite, Clay, and it's Lamont King and Dr. Greg Carr, and a person who gives me tremendous inspiration, and it's Sister Karen Hunter. Thank you, Karen Hunter. Thank you, Karen Hunter. Thank you, Karen Hunter. I appreciate, I appreciate you inviting me to watch your show. I love the knowledge. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, I tell you, keep up the watching, and I keep up the knowledge, man. All I do is offer opinions. I see things on the news, I do a little research, and I share with my people. Man, invite more people. So look, this is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get to the point where the people who have businesses, we can come in, somebody selling t-shirts. Let's just imagine, man, we can get, instead of a few hundred people watching every week, we can get a few 100,000 people in this. I mean, come on, I'm selling t-shirts. 10,000 t-shirts sold at $40 a piece. Bang, $400,000. You good for the year. And you come on in 12 months, sell another t-shirt, or come on in a month, sell another t-shirt, or so forth and so on. And if you got an invention, if you got a book, we can do this. Again, this is the group economics that I'm talking about. We can make our own situations better. All we have to do is support each other. Let's forget what has happened to us. Let's forget the negative things that happen. Let's think about what is the reaction to the positive thing that happened. Because Dr. Caretha Mitchell, she has a book and that mentions how Black success is rings an alarm for white hate. Black success is an alarm for white hate, meaning when they see us excelling, when they see us doing well, they come in with the negativity. So if let's piss them off. Let's put Vice President Harris in office, and then we're gonna get 55 senators. We need 60. We're gonna get 55 senators. We're gonna get 260 people in the House of Representatives. That way, we can become full and registered citizens with no ratification every 50 years, because that's what the voters' right thing is. Every 50 years, they have to reapprove it. Nope, we can make that a law. We can get all the rights that we lost over the last 56 years. Sorry, that's 56 years. We can get all those rights back, and then we can just vote for the protection of our people without any equivocation. Man. That's the goal, Thomas. Thank y'all again, man. I'm late. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend, tune in. Hopefully, everybody who watch, have somebody come with them next week and say, hey, man, this dude, he funny looking, but he be saying some stuff that's could potentially be beneficial. With that being said, 2 fingers, 1 word. All I do is help my people, and the people who don't like what I'm saying.
You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you.
And if you do like what I'm saying, pull up a chair next week and
we lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for tithes, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brains. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim, and you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth and the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't. You thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang. Killed our women and our children. All our leaders are slain. It's all a game.